Community Services, April 18th at 9 a.m. Have a roll call, please, Kelly.
Ms. Weber,
Present.
Mr. Smith,
Present.
Ms. Polk, Ms. Parker, Mr. Swanson, Mr. Kirkstra,
Present.
Ms. Foster, Ms. Andrade, Ms. Monday, Ms. Rittmanick-Emmy, Mr. Wheeler,
Present.
Mr. Alexander Hildebrand. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. The minutes from February 21st were emailed to you a while ago, and you could have those. The minutes from March 21st were emailed to you this morning, but you also have a hard copy available. So would someone move that we accept both sets of minutes? Ms. Parker, Mr. Smith will second it. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Okay, we'll go next to reports. In your packet, you have the monthly report for County Clerk, Mr. Hendrickson. So, two-page report that you have. I'll turn this on. Okay. Would someone move that we accept that report? Ms. Andrade, will you move that? Ms. Foster, will you second it? Okay. And let's have any discussion about the report? Anything you want to add about the report?
Not at all.
Okay, all in favor of accepting the report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. A motion is carried. What else would you like to tell us, though?
Oh, just wanted to touch briefly on the election we had 2 weeks ago today. Total, as at the end of the night on the 4th, was a total of 9,017 ballots cast, which would be a turnout percentage of 13.5%, which compared to the same election 4 years ago, just a smidge higher. That's largely attributed to the permanent vote by mail. We had a little bit over 2,000 ballots that we got back from permanent vote by mail, which is it is going to be the future. More and more people will be participating by permanent vote by mail. The downside to that is of the 2,061 ballots that we did receive, we mailed out 4,093 ballots to people who signed up. So 2,000 people said either they didn't want to participate or they surrendered their ballot at the polling place. That was a cost to us, not including labor, of at least $3,000. So that we'll see that going forward too, where we'll mail ballots to people and they'll look at it and go, just not interested. So that will be a number that we'll need to factor in for future budgetary purposes. On election day itself, our busiest hour was between 4 and 5 o'clock, when we had 778 people in the county check in at one of the polling places. Which we had 54 polling places open, so that's really, roughly 15 per polling place. So we had a voter every 4 minutes at every polling place during our busiest hour. We did have some polling places that early in the morning, we did not have voters there for hours.
Oh.
So one of the things that we will be reconsidering, we did consider it for this election of consolidating some polling places. But with the county-wide referenda question, we weren't sure what the turnout would be for that. We opted not to do that, but for future elections where we have large areas of uncontested races, we will be consolidating polling places. Largely because election judges for this election were very, very hard to find. We were at a bare minimum at several locations. Matter of fact, we did have 2 polling places that ended up, we had a couple judges that went home sick, that we only had 2 judges remaining at the end of the night. Unfortunately, it is what it is, and we did the very best that we could, and I thank all of the judges that did work. Which leads us to the question on what do we do for election judges? Our election judges are getting older, as we all are. So what do we do to entice and retain those judges? And one of the things that I'll be bringing to you later on this year, because our next election won't be until March of next year, absent a special election, I want to increase the pay for our election judges. I think that I don't have an exact figure yet, but I definitely want to make sure that our judges are acknowledged and rewarded for their hard work throughout the course of the day. If anybody had any questions about Election Day or anything in particular, I'd be happy to answer them to the best of my ability.
Ms. Foster, are you 9?
What is the pay now for the election judges?
Currently,
Make sure your microphone's on. No, are you 12? All right, yes, go ahead.
13,
Okay,
12.
12. Okay,
What is the pay now for election judges?
for certified judges, judges that take the training class, if we work 5 judges at a polling place, they get paid $165 apiece. If we work 3 in the majority of polling places that we had for this election, we're working 3 judges, we will pay them $200 apiece. So, but if you figure that it's a minimum of a 15-hour day,
Yeah.
that's still a little bit over $13 an hour.
the concern, do you have, saw some of you concerned that 2,000 ballots didn't come back in, perhaps.
2032 as of this morning.
That's a concern, and you're concerned from cost, but also because they didn't express their vote.
We had large areas of the county, and we sent out postcards. We sent out postcards prior to the November general election for people to sign up. And when you sign up on the postcards, it gives you the option to either select just general elections or every election. So those people that signed up for general elections, which is the November election and the April election in the odd years, are sent a ballot for all of those. For people who sign up for everything, that includes the primaries as well, and you have to declare your party affiliation. So people who signed up for that may not have completely understood that we're going to send you something for every election or every general election. The other concern is that there were large areas of the county where the county referenda was the only contested question on the ballot. If you were up in the Manteno area, all of the races there for municipal, for schools, for the library district, they were uncontested. Same thing with Moments. So, you know, roughly this at least a third of the county did not have a contested race except for the referenda question. So people may have got their ballot, said, I'm going to pass on this one.
The other part that I noticed from the report is that at least 2 communities had no one running for anything.
Very true.
And they're all in my end of the county. And that's unfortunate. I mean, you can be happy with what's going on, but you do need somebody to lead you.
Very correct.
And what do those communities do?
Well, at the point where if a community didn't have anybody to fill one of the trustee positions, the remaining board members can appoint somebody to serve those 2 years until the next election.
But in the case where nobody's on the ballot,
They can still, they can appoint.
for those open positions.
Correct.
Okay. There had to be somebody left. It just, these were the ones that were open. I understand. Okay. The other thing that maybe you saw in a newspaper article mentions that Hendrickson said that the office hopes to have all the votes certified by the morning of April 19. The earliest date of certification is 18th, today.
Yes,
And the deadline is the 25th.
correct.
So what,
Still on schedule for that. We will certify our results tomorrow morning.
and that means, what does that mean? 3 parties in the room, or how?
No, we'll just, the only ballots we've got left to cast are those provisional ballots that were cast on Election Day. There was 4. And anything that was a late arriving absentee but postmarked on Election Day or before. And we had roughly 100 ballots like that. So,
The mail service,
correct.
somehow, wherever they mail them.
Right.
Okay. Certifying means that you officially say these people have been.
These are the winners.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to ask? Ms. Foster, go ahead.
Yeah. Dan, I think in our area, in my area, the election day was pretty brisk. We had
Yes.
a lot of people come through. Do you have the total number of how many people cast a ballot in Pembroke?
in Pembroke for Election Day, for the 2 polling places that were at the library,
Yes.
at the end of the night on the 4th, there were 254 ballots cast.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a poll watcher, so I know it was brisk.
Yeah, Pembroke was one of our busier locations.
Yeah.
There was a contested election.
There was a
It was
contested,
contested,
yes,
yes.
there was a few contested races out there.
Okay. Anything else? So before March next year, you'll be coming back to us with a recommendation for
Yes.
is that in the budget?
It's gonna be,
It's going to be in the budget.
yes.
Okay. So any of you that have been judges, it is a long day. It is a long day.
Very much so.
And it would be really a nice gesture to have it more money, I guess, if that's one way to approve or.
It certainly is an avenue to entice people for service. I know that it is public service, but I think that people don't necessarily always understand that it is a public service. So sometimes you have to dangle that carrot in front of people to get them to do the job.
Do you think it's a countrywide issue?
Absolutely.
Is it really?
This is not a Kankakee issue. Throughout the state of Illinois, I know that, talking to several of my colleagues, they were scrambling. And several of them did do some consolidation of polling places before the election.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that, sounds good, but now it creates potential voter confusion, because this is where I normally go to vote, and now I'm not going here, and there's a sign at the door saying I've got to go here. I may not know where that polling place is, or darn it, I had enough time to get here and vote, and now I'm done. So it's a lot of weighing the pros and cons on all of these decisions that you make.
There's always the answer of consolidation. There's always the answer that is not the best answer in some cases.
I think as far as permanently combining polling places, we are right now probably maxed out at what we can do.
Oh, is that right? Because of number of voters.
Correct.
You might repeat for some of us, what is that I was just saying? It has to be a polling place for 8,000 voters, or what is it?
State law says that it's for 800 voters.
Oh,
A lot of our polling places, we have more registered voters than the 800. But the question is, are we considering a voter a person who participates, who casts a ballot at the polling place on election day? Then we don't have a lot of polling places where we hit 800.
what is the interpretation?
Well, that's a better question for our attorneys. And my interpretation is that it would be for souls at the polling place, as opposed to number of bodies at the polling place, or that would be going to that polling place. With the advent of mail registration, with early voting, it's not a vote at the polling place on election day mindset anymore, for better or for worse. So if people are participating through other venues, either by getting a ballot at home or going to one of our satellite locations or coming to our office to vote early, then that reduces the impact of what we get at the polling place on election day.
There are several convenient ways to vote without going to a polling place.
Absolutely.
So is that your opinion? Do any of you have an opinion? I voted. I came here and voted. Is that what some of you are shaking? Like 3 of you, I see shaking your head. You came here and voted before election day because you were here for a different reason and voted.
And we're just the friendliest polling place you're going to find.
You are a good, friendly place, and give stickers and everything. So. Okay, good discussion. Do you have any other suggestions for him? Do you have any discussion about consolidating polling places? Voters, they'll all be published, right, before the.
Oh,
And they
absolutely.
get a card that says where it is.
Yes. Yeah, I don't see us reducing the number of polling places permanently.
I got you. Okay.
For odd year elections, where like this election, yeah, we'd have probably lumped all of Moments into one polling place and Manteno into 1 or 2 polling locations for that election only. but not on a permanent basis.
Well, and you need to give credit to voters who come to vote when they really are voting for who's going to get elected anyway.
True.
So those are good. Those are not the people you said. Tell me again. How many people voted totally? 2,000.
9,017 total
9,000.
at the end of the 4th. We'll have another 100 or so on top of that.
Unfortunately, out of 66,000 people, that's not good. But there
Right.
were, 9,000 people that voted. So
Correct.
that's good. They're using their right to vote. And,
Absolutely.
okay. Anything else? Good discussion today. Thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome. Have a great day, everybody.
Okay, in your packet, you have Mr. Blair's assessor's report. There's 2 pages there also. Mr. Kirkster, would you like to move that we accept that report? Would you move to accept it?
I make a motion, we move.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Rebecca, will you second it? Okay. You see the report, and let's see, get your microphone on for you. Nathan, do you have any comments on your report before we approve it?
No, I do not.
Okay, all in favor of accepting a report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Good morning, Ms. Polk, glad you're here.
Good morning, thank you.
Motion is carried. Okay, what else would you tell us?
The biggest thing that I wanted to talk about this morning is the idea that my mapping technician is on maternity leave starting today.
Huh.
And with her being out for, a projected 8 weeks or so, this is a busy time for mapping, while we go through splits and consolidations that come in through the recording of deeds and individuals that come into the counter and want to have maybe 2 of their parcels pushed together and consolidated. We've had to go to a third-party source, Bruce Harris and Associates, to do some mapping for us because I have a mapping trainee in the department, but she just started in January. She's not anywhere near ready to take that over. So through the funds of GIS, that's really what's paying for this and driving that, and I really appreciate Delbert Skimmerhorn and his department there, GIS, helping to pay for this because, as he would tell you, GIS would be a really fancy version of Google Maps if it wasn't for the parcel layer that we have.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just wanted to report to the committee that we do have a plan on how to do this. It's been done before. We did have a mapping person years ago that was ill for a while, and we had to outsource it to Bruce Harris. This was before I had the position, but so the biggest thing I wanted to report this morning was that we have everything that we have currently in the office that needs to be mapped has been uploaded to a digital portal with Bruce Harris and Associates. I've had multiple conversations with the woman that is leading our project and doing the mapping for us at Bruce Harris, and she's tremendous. So I really have good confidence that things are going to come back well. Once we get it back from Bruce Harris, then we have to do some things to get it into our DevNet system and get things out to the assessors. So I'll be working with Bruce Harris on the deadlines to get everything back from them so that we can get things to the assessors in a timely manner. And it's an involved project, but it's something that was necessary, and I think we're gonna have a successful year with that. So
It's good that your word is updated all mappings, but so you've done all that you can do to get it to the company. And
right,
now they're
we've uploaded it all, and that was actually up to yesterday, actually, because Mariah was here yesterday and actually was induced this morning. So, she was working hard for us even up to yesterday, and everything that we had at that moment had been uploaded to the Bruce Harris portal. So everything is in the pipeline, and we're just waiting for it to come back from Bruce Harris. They tell us it's about a 30-day turnaround. But they say that, and then they tell me it usually doesn't take quite that long. They just kind of they give themselves a little bit of a buffer. So that was the biggest thing that I wanted to report this morning.
It's very good news, though. Very good news that there is something, you weren't left at lurch. You had something to go to, and it'll be good when it comes back.
We certainly had plenty of warning about this. We knew that Mariah was going to be gone for, a certain amount of time, and I knew that the projected due date for the baby was this Friday, the 21st. So she made it to this week, and then the doctor wanted to induce her today instead, and so we got all the work out of her that we possibly could have, and she was a trooper and came in every day, and she was really, really good.
Yeah.
Helping us smooth things over and get things done as much as possible.
It's called, in Miss Beckman's eyes, the dedicated employee back there. Huh? So she deserves the credit, and congratulations for sure.
Absolutely does. And so, just wanted to give the committee an update on that we're going to be just fine with the mapping, even though I'm short one person now. We're down one person from what we normally are, which is going to be a little bit of a challenge during tax bill time, as that's coming up here pretty soon. The treasurer, I'm sure, will be mailing bills early to mid-May, somewhere in there. I don't know exactly what his plan is, but so that was the biggest thing I wanted to update you on. The other things that I have pending, through this month, through April, we're going to go ahead and continue to maintain the ownership of record for tax bill mailing address database. And then the other thing is we're still waiting on the certification of the 2022 sales ratio study. About a month ago, I had turned in everything to the state to have them, consider potentially adding sales to the study or removing them if I felt like their list was incorrect. And as of this morning, I still haven't received anything back from them, but I expect it pretty soon. So those are the things that we're kind of working on, and I would entertain any questions at this time.
The question I had asked before the meeting, and Eric said he has an answer, is, see the part that says to maintain the correct addresses, maintain ownership of record and tax bill mailing address database. So important to so many other workers. Ms. Gavoy's shaking her head back there. So I asked the question, how many are there? Or not exactly that, but are there a lot? There are a lot of...
There are a lot. And I'll tell you, I don't have a quantified number perfectly, but I'll tell you where they come from, and you can get an idea. We get people that come to the counter and want to do it over the counter, just saying, hey, I used to want the bill mailed to a P.O. box, now I want it mailed to my house. So we get some of those. We'll get some that email us and want to change their address. Maybe they're, leaving their home and going to Florida or something, and wanting to have things sent to their Florida address. We get them on the back of the tax bills. On the back of your coupon, there's a spot to fill out for a tax bill address change. And then the other thing, and I think what Ms. Gadboy was probably nodding toward, is the biggest load of them come from the recording of deeds and the change of the name when something sells or something is deeded to a different person. On the deed is a spot for where the tax bill is to be mailed. And so, we process something like, I want to say I sent to the finance department something over 4,000 deeds last year, and that's usually a typical number, 4,000 to 5,000 deeds a year, plus everything that comes over the counter, plus everything that we get in the email, plus the ones that go to the treasurer's office and come back to us on the back of the tax bill. So, like I said, I don't have a perfectly quantified number, but you get an idea of it's happening all year, and there's thousands that happen.
Thousands.
Yes.
Well, and you have told us the ways that you fix them. There are others that nobody tells you about, that they're just out there. Then there are places that the mail has gone that nobody came back and said, "Oh, I meant to send it to a post office box," right? So there are those that come back, or you come back because nobody has told you about. Do you need to do any investigating with those then? How do you do that?
Sometimes when the bills come back, the tax bills, or when the tax bills come back, they go to the treasurer. When the assessment change notices come back, they come back to us, and a lot of times the township assessors want those assessment change notices that weren't deliverable, and they may know to get a hold of the person and find out where the bill should be mailed, and those get sometimes corrected that way.
That's the best way, isn't it? The assessor out in the public can get to the person that it is. So that's a good way.
Yes.
Never going to be 100% fixable, but
We strive for it, but you know, striving for perfection's a great thing, but you never quite get there, I would say.
no. The result is they would not receive their assessor change, may not receive their tax bills, and then they'd be due and late.
You know, well, yeah, I mean, there is some understanding that when you own a property, whether you get a bill or not, I think, you know, you know taxes are due, things like that. But you're right. I mean, we do the best that we can to get things mailed to the right place, and that's why that's on my list here. Is we're trying to make sure that everything that we can have mailed to the right place gets sent to the right place.
And what kind of deadline do you have for the treasurer to get those addresses? When does he need to have the updates?
So typically he creates the file in order to print the tax bills and have them stuffed and mailed out. He creates that file in very early May. So that first week of May, you know, this year it's the 1st through the 5th. Probably by the 3rd or 4th, he's going to create that file, and so that's our deadline to get things in to the system, so that when he pushes the button to create the file, you know, whatever we have in the system is where he's going to mail it. And so every year I make it a point to make sure that we are as caught up to the minute as possible on what's been recorded in the recorder's office, and certainly anything that we've gotten over the counter or through email and things like that.
Do you have a dedicated employee to do that, or all cross-trained?
We have some cross-trained employees. Typically, it's the transactions person, the person that deals with the deeds, does most of it. If there's a stack of things that need to be done, we certainly split it up, and I have a few people work on it. But
that's great.
But we're doing really well keeping up with the transactions. The new person that took over about a year ago is really keeping up well, and so I don't think we have quite as much of a backlog as what we've had in the past.
It's good news.
And so I can probably leave it in the hands of just that one person, and maybe just a little bit of help on that last day to get us over the top and get everything in the system before the treasurer creates that file.
Good. Very good information and discussion. Thank you. Anybody else have something about it? We continue at each meeting to talk about the interaction between departments, so that really is true.
Yeah, I really appreciate the relationship I have with many of the departments in the building and throughout the county. It really helps a lot to make sure that we serve the public to the best of our ability.
Right. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Okay.
Have a nice day, folks.
Please look in your packet for the recorder. Lori Gaboy, his report was 2 pages, and some good news again today of 3 pages. So she's coming forward. Mr. Smith, would you like to move that we accept that report? Yes. Okay. Ms. Andrade seconds it. Do you have anything you want to talk about your report before we approve it? Or?
No.
Okay, well, let's approve it, and then you have some details. Okay. All in favor of accepting the report, say aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carried. Okay, what would you have?
Just as I've stated in the past, we are on a slump, an economic slump with recordings. So Unfortunately, you're not going to see the numbers like you've seen last year. Interest rates are 6% and higher right now, so which is going to slow down mortgages, releases, refis, and even transactions. Although, and I'll point out that in the month of March, there were 334 deeds recorded, so, you know, that's a good thing.
So she's speaking about
On the last page.
3 at the bottom, where on the right-hand side, it says 2023 March deeds, 334 total for the year 12/12. So
And that's fiscal year.
fiscal
That's
year.
our county year, not our calendar year, so.
So is there a contrast to another year we have? Not here, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
I just
But you
keep
think it's
providing
slow.
that for you as a rolling figure,
Mm-hmm.
just so you know what's going on between deeds and foreclosures, so. But again, things are slowing down. We're seeing it in the office. We're feeling it in the office.
But your report, the $118,859, is the best for this year so far.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
it isn't the 140, 180, 170,
Right.
but it is the best
Right.
for this year. So.
And, you know, reflectively, I always say, look at the county stamps, or the state stamps, I'm sorry, were $27,759. So that's a reflection of $1 per thousand for the value of property that was transferred in the month of March. So, we're okay, you know.
for
Doing the
what's
best we
going on.
can. We have lots of backlogs still to do. We're about 95,000 images left to index, so we're so excited. It's keeping us busy, and you know, we still have searchers coming in every day, which is a good thing. So there's some big things in the works from what I hear from them. So big transactions that are going to be taking place. So that's always nice.
And maybe there are some buildings, you know, and houses and things coming up, maybe. But again, you have to have a buyer before you start a project like that.
Yes.
So.
And I'm not aware of any really big subdivisions or anything being developed. So it's the one house, two house kind of thing. Yeah. Yep.
Any
So
other
everyone go out and buy a new house this year.
or at least trade. Just trade.
Yeah.
Is that what, of the 118,000, most of it is people buying a house rather than a new house?
It's, you know, moving, the transaction. It can be, you know, an office building. It could be, I could tell you in the month of April, we did have a big transaction that took place of a shopping center, which is nice.
Yep.
You know, if we could have a shopping center and maybe a, you know,
Subdivision?
trailer park or something every month, that would really be a good thing.
Yeah.
But they don't happen every month. So that's really about it. We're just busy working on our backlog, cleaning up the records.
And that's the good news. With this not traffic, helps you get
Oh yeah,
to that,
yes. Staff is very consistent about staying on top of that. Our goal, we would really like to have this 12-year project done. Hopefully by the end of 24 is what we're kind of focusing on. So.
will that be pleasing then? You're at a good place?
To the public users, absolutely, yes, because their searchable ability to find the information will be that much quicker. Yes.
The updating at the courthouse, and then you're updating. Are you connected to that? No connection to
Two
that.
different systems.
But you are updating your system too. I mean,
Always, yes.
So it's good for the county. There's all kinds of updating going on. So,
Yes.
so in any case of your transactions, is there usually always on the back that change of address?
So, as Eric was explaining, that's part of the information that we send down to him. So every time somebody comes in with a deed transaction or a quit claim deed, because maybe they're taking somebody off, putting somebody on, or whatever, we require, as on all deeds, that the mail tax bill be completed. So that information has to be on the deed.
Even if the same.
Even if it's the same, and then that way it's going down to his office is then double checking to make sure it's either the same or it has to be changed. So yes, for every deed that comes in, that's a requirement, and that's in our statute.
And that should take care of it. I mean, you are in
It should.
charge of all the property and
Yeah.
who owns it.
Right. So my staff is excellent, and especially when individuals are coming in and doing their own business, lots of times they misunderstand the document, and by law we're not allowed to help them, but we will point out to them and remind them the mail tax bill is for going forward, not today. And a lot of people think, well, I'm paying the bill today, so I should have my name there, but that creates a lot of confusion. So my staff is very good and versed at making sure they reiterate that to people, because they're like, oh no, Carol's supposed to pay it going forward. So then they have to make that change.
Make it to change
Yeah.
to Carol instead of to who owns it today.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's a perfect system if it gets all right. Then
Right.
Eric gets it all up to date.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
good.
it is a perfect system.
Yeah.
Yep. But it starts with the person preparing the document.
From you to Eric
Yes.
to treasurer to
Yes.
receive it back
Yes.
again.
Exactly.
Wow.
So,
Good information. Anything else you'd like to ask? Please, Miss Andrade, let me get your number 13. Go ahead.
What are the fees to change the deeds, like to add somebody or to take somebody out?
So today's recording fee is $57. There will be a fee increase that's taking place July 1st, and I've mentioned that to you all in the past regarding the RHSP fee increase that the General Assembly did. That will take place July 1st, and that fee will be going up to $66. So today it's $57.
Okay.
And then again, the fee breakdown, and I've told you about that before, how some goes to county general, some goes to GIS.
Yes.
So
But the RHSP was increased to a dollar. Was
no, RHSP is now going to be $18.
$18, and of which you'll get
No. So we have a meeting on that Friday. So there's a lot of, because the way the General Assembly rewrote this legislation, there's some inconsistency in the language and understanding of the fee breakdown. We're hoping to get that fixed Friday and going forward, so that on a legal basis and collection of all the recorders in the state, we're doing it correctly.
Yes.
But it used to be $10, $9 went to the state, $1 stayed here. County general got 50 cents, county recorder got 50 cents. Yes, so we love to break things out.
What about the 18 then? What was that going to
So
be?
the 18 is the full 18 to the state of Illinois, Department of Revenue.
Nothing here at all.
Right.
Oh,
That's
wow.
where
Needs to be a discussion there.
there was a misstep in the legislation. Yeah. So we were not proponents of this. We were
No.
opponents.
Even at 50 cents.
Right. So
Well, we'll ask you next month. I'll put it on our
Yeah.
agenda. What happened at this
yeah,
meeting on
I'll let you know.
Okay.
Yep, we're working on it, but you know, the great thing is you can always file amendments and
Oh, yes.
things. So,
Yeah.
but going July 1, the fee is increasing. We have no choice. Governor signed it into law already.
And it probably will stay increased. It's just what's your share.
Yeah.
That's all that will change
Yes.
is whether you get some of it or not. But
Right.
at this point, the RHSP on your report is $8,397 taken out of your fees and sent to that group.
Yes, correct.
And it will be $8 more each after July 1.
Well, $9 more.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Good discussion, good explanation,
Yes,
good connection.
thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for your
I have
report.
nothing else, but everyone have a great day and see y'all next month.
Okay, Ms. Laird's coming forward with the animal control. Please turn in your report to that page. There are 2 pages back and front with her account. Okay, Ms. Foster, would you move that we accept that report? Okay, and
I'll second.
Ms. Poco seconded. And she'll be talking about some of the things, but all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion is carried. Okay.
As far as IPTIP building fund, that was left off. I didn't have the numbers back. I do have those numbers now if you want them.
Okay, so on your report, which is that upside,
It's for March.
there's, that's the end of the first little packet of things. It says building fund. How much do you want us to put in that, Laura?
That was $150,864.32.
in the left-hand column.
Yes.
That is a good,
I was able to, for excess revenue over expenditure, I was able to transfer $150,000 from our checking technically over to IPTIP. So that will cover our payment for the bond for next year.
okay.
So then that brings us to our yearly total of $219,103.78.
And over the years, that's been building and building and building and building, and now the nice thing about it has been it's paying for a building.
Yes,
Building, a building.
yes.
That's
So
good.
you can see last year there was $572,000. We took $500,000 of that and bought the current building with that. So we have $219,000 left with the excess of $150,000 I added this year, or this last month. So
And other than that payments, if there had been BARC contribution of $100,000.
yep, they bought the lot next door.
And the grant from Senator Joyce was
Correct.
part of that
went
too.
into, yep.
And then your bonds of $1.5 million,
Yes.
as well as ARPA money that was approved at the board the other day. So those are just good things, and we have had information about ARPA before and how that works out. But let's talk about your specific report details here. The nice thing I see on your report is in, again, the top part, about 10 lines down under registration, it mentions $19,740. That implies they're paying that.
Yes, so that is 2 or 3 vet offices have paid in for the month before. So our registration for each of that office, depends on what it is for who the clients they saw, but that's the vet's offices that paid in. So this could actually technically be for February or even January's months. They just get left over. So it's not always up to date. This isn't always everything that happened in February or March. I'm sorry, got put on here because the way they pay.
Yes, but reason I'm bringing it up is in the past you've had many delinquent vets.
Yes.
And how is that working?
It's still the same.
It's still the same.
Yeah, I mean, they do submit, whether it's a month or two later, they do still submit their registration to us. I mean, this year we have $130,000 submitted so far, which is great, but there still is outstanding bills due to us.
Well, the two good news there is 130 is more than the 118.
Correct.
At this time last year, but the other good news is you still have a lot of money coming that needs to come. Is the better news is that they will pay?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I don't want to say we hound them, but they know when there's a call from us that they're pretty far behind, that we have to be paid for the services that
they took it in. It was an income.
Yeah, it's registrations, it's rabies tags, which they've already taken
Customer
in.
made
Correct.
payment. Okay, do you have any other questions? Anybody up at the top? The other is then let's go to animal bites. The good thing about animal bites is
there a good thing about animal bites?
well, less than, I guess, because the 41 total year-to-date is a lot less than last year total to date. So on your chart, it shows that there are 41 bites for these 4 months, I guess there would be probably.
That may be wrong, because I just looked at last year's, or February's totals, I had 63, so I may have not added that correctly on there.
So it might be 100 and something, huh?
It could be around 90 some. But I think by looking at the report, we're right on track with everything the same as last year.
Okay.
So very similar to last year,
And
which is good and bad, because we still have a number of animals in our building, that we have to have, rescue.
Are these only the bites you've investigated? It doesn't mean, there are dogs biting people out there that aren't reported, so.
So by law, if they go to seek medical attention, the bite has to be reported to animal control. We have to investigate it, and that doesn't cost any municipality a dime. Even if they don't have a contract with us, that's something we have to do by law, because it's for rabies control. So so they do have to submit a bite report to us, and we have to follow up with that. And if the dog isn't current, it has to be housed either at our facility or at a vet's office. If it is current, they have to be housed at home and do a home quarantine. There are stipulations they have to follow as well.
Yes, and that works out pretty well for the owner to keep it at home rather than you having to shelter it
So
and causing the trauma.
we're very fortunate enough that we have had quite a few animals that have somebody that have been able to quarantine at home rather than coming to our facility. It costs them a lot more money. On average, it's around $450 to quarantine at our facility. That's for boarding, the service fee for not being current, and other fines in there. So if you can quarantine at home, your animal's current, all you have to do is pay for the 2 vet visits.
And the trauma is less for all involved there,
Exactly.
too.
Yes, we do get some very sad pets there. They're depressed. They don't know why they're there. It's hard on us. It's hard on the staff to see them, and it's hard on the animal. I mean, they're laying on a concrete pad, and they don't understand why when they were living in a cushy bed and they had they bit somebody. A lot of them are accidental. They don't they just. Granted, dogs and cats don't always have to bite somebody, but they could have been a provoked bite, and they turned around. That was their reaction to guard themselves, is to bite. So it's unfortunate they have to be housed at our facility. But it is one of those things that we have done for years and will continue to do so, because animals aren't always current.
Well, that does catch up on that part of it, doesn't it, too? The other part to look at is handled dogs. Do you agree that 56 is less than last year's 90?
It is, and that's just we haven't been able to go out as much as far. We've had a lot of animals stay in our building and not be able to go out to rescue. We haven't been able to handle as many calls as we had in the past. Like currently our shelter is emergency intake only because we are full for another reason. So we have not been able to handle that. Luckily, the police departments have been able to handle a little on their own and been able to return dogs to their owners. They do call us. If they have a tag, we'll let them know. We could write the owners a citation for not being current, depending on what the situation is. Or the police department could write them a citation as well for running at large.
We maybe have seen in other papers or newsreel where places where they've had flooding in Florida and all kinds of places, that there's vans of dogs coming into Chicago to rescues. Is that trickle down here at all?
They do a little bit. It doesn't help our situation at all because the animals that are here don't get pushed out to rescues because they're taking animals from other states and bringing them to our state. So then there's no room for the animals that are currently in the state to go anywhere.
Yes.
So that's the hard part. And some of those animals are more desirable, the different breeds are, so that does help the situations that they do get more adoptables that way because we always have the same type of breed of animal
Sure
here.
you do, yeah. There was a photo in the Tribune yesterday of a home in the Chicago area that had 56 Chihuahuas that were captured. Those are desirable little dogs if they're adoptable.
They can be, yeah. Chihuahuas are finicky little creatures, so I don't know, a Chihuahua or a pit bull. I mean, I have my choice on a pit bull on that one. Just they can be little interesting little guys.
They are.
So,
nippy, chippy. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Look on the second page of the longer side page. See if we have any questions there. She's saying total intake of dogs were 38. So those are for those various reasons in the case of 29 strays. And is that somebody reporting there's a stray dog here? Come and get it?
they do, yes. We don't go out searching for stray animals. It's one of those things that we're not like on patrol doing that kind of thing. We never do that. If we are in an area and we do see a stray, we will pick it up, but we don't patrol. So it's always somebody calling in.
So it's nothing is transferred in. Those are just county animals, aren't they?
Correct.
County animals.
And people, the owners are slow to pick them up. So
Yes, but 17 of them did reclaim them. It shows here too. And then we always kind of look at the euthanasia and the idea that 7 of the 11 that were euthanized were because of some kind of behavior, sick, injured, or something there. Yes. They just couldn't. They wouldn't be adoptable, I suppose you would say there too. So. Okay, one thing I talked to Carrie about before the meeting is this last weekend, there was a run. It was an inaugural rescue run happening Saturday. State's Attorney Rowe and the Youth Advisory Board had a 5K race at KCC. Carrie was there. I asked her if she would talk to us about what was going on there.
So we were sent an invite by the Youth Advisory Board asking if we would participate in the rescue run. So we said, of course, we participate. And what that meant for us is that we would bring an adoptable dog out there, participate in the run, and the fees that were generated by the run would go towards the rescues that participated. So I believe that us, Humane Foundation, and Perfect Paws, I believe, were the 3 that were represented. And it was a decent turnout for a first run. I think it could be better next year if they advertise it better. We tried to advertise it. I know they're having a little bit of problem with registration, but I think for the first run, I want to say there was 50 to 80 people there. So it was decent enough. It was a beautiful day for it, and Scooby got lots of attention.
Scooby was your dog?
Scooby was our dog we brought out there, yes.
And the end of the story?
Scooby's still at our building. He's been there since February, brought in as a stray. He's a big boy, around 80 pounds. Just a big lug. He's goofy, but he's a lot of dog, but he's a great dog. It's unfortunate he's our only adoptable at this time. So he's a good boy. Still looking for his forever home though.
Well, past reports we had where you went to Hersher, brought a dog, and it got, what was his name here?
Harry and Brutus. I
Harry
think
and
which
Brutus.
one it was. Yeah, they were
And both
brothers.
of them got adopted.
They did get
That was
adopted
good
with about
thing.
a week apart from each other.
So that there is hope if you can get into community, but you're saying you have only one adoptable.
One
dog.
adoptable at this time.
And that's not your main goal, actually,
Correct.
anyhow, is adoption, so.
Correct. Rescue was able to take in, knowing that we were going to take in a large quantity of dogs. Rescue was able to take dogs from us last week or week before last, knowing that we were going to be able to house everybody. So. At the Building and Grounds meeting, I think Ms. Parker could talk about that maybe more, but they agreed to start the open process for bidding for our new building. So that went out, and then the bids are due May 10th, with the completion date of our building projected for March of 2024. So that is spectacular. That will be in our building in a year or less.
Yeah.
Only other thing I have is May 6th at the Farmers Market. We are doing a microchip clinic from 8 to 12. There's no registration required. All we ask is that you bring your dog out there. It's $15 cash, and we'll microchip your dog right there.
So let's say that again, May 6th.
May 6th at the Farmers Market from 8 to noon.
8 to noon, down the street.
Yep.
And for $15, you can get chip, if you don't
Microchip?
have it already.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll scan your dog ahead of time if you think your dog isn't scanned or is microchipped. We'll scan them ahead of time, and then we'll chip them for $15.
I hope that works for people.
And that saves it, because if you could receive a citation for not having your animal microchipped. It is an ordinance in Kankakee County.
Well, in a case personally, our dogs were microchipped, but to our children who live someplace else.
Oh.
So that proved it.
You can change it, absolutely. Yeah, you can change it. You can call the registration, call the company who implanted the microchip, or call the company who owns the microchip, and then call us and let us know. We could change it in our system as well.
The other thing about the tags and the registration is both of the dogs that I have tags for have died in the last year.
Okay.
So I should who should I let know?
You can call our office and let us know, and
know.
we'll mark them as deceased in our.
And do I need their number?
No, we can look under your name.
Okay. All right. So it's.
So what I heard is you're looking for a new pet.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have one adoptable. I know. Thank you. Anyway. Okay, so anything else? You're just looking forward. It was nice that you're going to be at the bid opening. Obviously, that's the next thing.
Yep, so they're going to start the process. They're going to open up the process for people to start bidding on April 19th. I don't know how that all works. And then May 10th, they're all due back.
And that is for building and inside all equipment?
I believe it's that for everything.
Everything. Okay, that's good. Where's the opening going to be at
No, they're going to start the process
bidding.
the 19th. Yes, they're going to let everybody know that the bids are open that way. I guess you could, I don't know how it works. What is the right terminology for it? Andy can tell you. There you go.
On May 10th?
April 19th.
April 19th. But the bid opening is here?
Will be like a request. Andy doesn't see it.
Oh, excuse me. I'll see. How do I get you? You're on. Okay. Mr. Whaler, I'm sorry. Please help us.
The timeline is being addressed. The bids will be released, but they have to be opened in committee. Our partners, White, is going to open the bids outside of committee, and you can't do that.
No.
So they'll be opened in the first available committee. I sent Wes the dates early this morning, late last night. So we will open them. I believe it will be. I think the way the timeline works would be building and grounds.
Logical. I mean, that's a good building.
That's what we were shooting for. So,
If not here, there. No, if it can't be here, there.
I think it needs to be there.
It probably does.
Yeah.
And then it needs to go to other places before it goes to total board too. So, right after it goes to building grounds, it'll have to go to finance.
No, it's awarded at that
awarded
point.
there?
We've already released the bids. It's awarded because we've already funded it.
Okay. So then
it's released to hounds, no pun intended. At that point, we're building a building.
And then at the May county board meeting, it would probably be announced at least, right? Or could be.
Well, we'll announce the lowest possible bidder as we open it.
Okay. Thank you very much for adding that. So those are just good things to be able to say, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yes.
Anything else?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Ms. Parker.
And we're adding the generator that Bones was talking about. We're putting it in on the front end instead of leaving space for it afterwards.
We're going to do that.
I don't know if you remember in the full board meeting, Mr. Hess brought up the fact that we should have a generator, and we agreed. So that's part of the scope now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and part of the bidding process will be a generator. That's
It's
good.
in scope. It's part of the requirements of the bid.
That's good.
Excellent, excellent.
It'll make it helpful for you, won't it?
will,
If the
absolutely.
electricity goes out. for
That's
that.
very good.
Okay, and the only thing that we mentioned is in the newspaper, there was a county panel approves 1.56 million of ARPA funds for that building. So that's the other part of your funding that is approved. So that's just another assurance. Carrie, if you remember, Carrie, as we were going through this process, just a little nervous about paying the bills.
Yeah,
but
it's still one of those things that makes me nervous, but if we continue to have excess revenue over expenditures, we'll be able to house all that. So I try to put the money away as soon as I get it. We'll try to put it away.
And your report shows that.
Yes.
That you've done well there. Okay. While you're here, Ms. Parker, what would you like to add to about the advisory committee and anything that was there?
Well, we're sad because the animal welfare conference was canceled. Not canceled, but it's going to be postponed. We were sponsoring that with the state's attorney's office and animal control. So that's going to be put on hold, and hopefully maybe by fall we'll be able to have, another where we can get more people to attend. So we're going to be planning on that a little bit.
The last time when it was held, 2019, I think people just showed up and came to it.
Yeah.
And this time it was requiring some registration, no fee, but a registration.
Right.
And that delayed or caused it not to be held. So it doesn't mean that 50 people wouldn't have shown up at that day.
I think that they would have probably because they were pretty interested in it, but some were not aware of the registration on getting into the website.
Yeah.
A couple of them said it was difficult for them. A couple of older people wanted to go, and the computer tech always scares seniors. Understandable.
But it will be a good meeting. Information about animal abuse and how to take care of animals and.
Absolutely, the speaker that was contracted, she covers it all, and I think it'll be beneficial to the whole community, as well as addressing the fact that for Harbor House, animals for
use your mic, get closer.
Animals for security, loving them and comforting those that have been abused. That was going to be addressed, and how to go about the training process to get I wouldn't want to call it a welfare dog, but a comfort dog. So there's just so many things that were going to be addressed, and so many speakers, and so it's kind of disappointing, but I'm really excited that we'll have a little bit more time, get it on the calendar, get it out there, and get more people to attend, because it is beneficial. And a lot of people are still confused about what exactly animal control covers. They're still not, well, they'll call and say, no, you've got to call your community, because now we're under contract with animal control and your village, so call them. And so they're still a little bit confused about who to call, and especially Kankakee. City of Kankakee, I get a lot of people wanting to know, well, why won't you come? Why won't animal control come? Because we don't have a contract with them, so you have to call and go through their system to get them. But I still refer them to animal control for information of how to do that.
Well, the hope was that with a new building, with new space, that more contracts could be made so that more people would be involved. So
I think so. I think the word is getting out about that building, and being put out in Bourbonnais. And again, it's going to be putting the spotlight on animal control more than it is where it's stationed now. More people are going to be able to see it, how to contact. I think that that's really going to be visible for people to, ask more questions about animal control and be more educated. And that's what we really need to do. It's still, we've been doing, 6 years, and people are still asking questions about who do we call.
They will continue to do that.
And I just want to say the building on last Thursday for animal control, the new building, we had a presentation by the architect, and I will tell you, I'm excited for Carrie and the staff right now, and for all the animals that are coming in. If you haven't seen the designs, please, I have a copy, and it's just going to be amazing. So that is really good news for our community and the animals. The animals. You know, and I hope by then Scooby has a home.
I hope so as well.
I'm still thinking I'm going to build that fence. I know. I want that dog so bad.
Well, and it was a blessing when Mr. Wheeler or others found that building along that road. Been looking for a while, and just became the right place at the right time. So
It's perfect location for people to drive by and say, so this is where animal control is. They really never knew. You know, you can tell them, but you go out under by the viaduct and they don't understand how to get back in there. So this is going to be visible, and I think the support from the community is going to be beneficial.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know, again, I'm just going to state my case. Tour groups coming through scares me a little bit. I don't know about Carrie, but dog bites and small children, not a good thing.
no, it's not a museum. It's
It's
a shelter.
Go to a shelter, yeah.
Okay. Thanks for sharing, both of you. Thank you for your report. Under the last part of our agenda about any old or new business, I wanted to just update you that if you each received your ARPA report, and you went to the page back here about social services, you remember the day months ago we opened 15 bids, open proposals at this desk, and on the sheet that's here, page 16, is the report of the 7 of the 15 that have received funding from that $2 million. So I think you need to feel good about that. We opened the bids, it's been evaluated, and 7 of the 15 have received funding approval, as well as there are still more positive proposals for the future. So if you're here later next week for meetings, maybe there'll be more proposals then. But be good about it, and if you look through your report, it just all has good things of how we've been able to help so many people through that ARPA report. So, okay. Anything else you'd like to add today? Okay, would you like to move? Okay, Ms. McNamee will move that we adjourn. Ms. Parker, you want to second it?
Absolutely.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.